New microphone, bitches. So as you guys might have seen, I like to focus on movies from the current year, so in this case 2025. However, every now and then I would like to make videos about other movies from other years. They can be movies that I deeply love, or classics, or just movies that are interesting to talk about. And in this case, I want to talk about a movie that came out late last year, but I only had the chance to watch it very recently. The movie is Better Man, and it is an amazing movie that I think was massively overlooked. So, what is Better Man? Better Man is a musical biopic about Mr. Robbie Williams, British pop star and rock star from the 90s and early 2000s, a huge sensation in the music industry, and for some reason, one that not many people know about nowadays. Actually, I remember when this movie came out on December 25th of last year, I would see posts on Reddit of people asking, who the hell is Robbie Williams? There were literally American people saying that British people invented this figure, which is a complete disservice to the impact that this guy had on the music industry. I'm not gonna lie, I grew up with this guy. Honestly, some of my earliest memories are me sitting in bed with my mom, and my mom would be playing MTV. There I was, a 3-year-old baby, watching videos of Linkin Park, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Robbie Williams. Songs like Feel, Better Man, Come Undone, and of course Rock DJ, my personal favorite. These songs represented the soundtrack to my early childhood. From 1990 to 1995, Robbie Williams was part of the boy band Take That. To be honest, this is not something that I knew. But then in 1996, he pursued a solo career, only to become the best-selling UK solo artist by 2008. That's how big this guy was. And now he has his own musical biopic where he is a monkey. Let's get it out of the way. Robbie Williams in this movie is a CGI monkey. The motion capture for the character was done by Juno Davis, and then Robbie Williams provided narration. He helped with the singing, of course. We will dive deeper into the whole monkey thing in a little bit. But for now, let's discuss why was this movie overlooked. Based on industry standards, this movie was a complete failure. It had a budget of $110 million, but in the box office it only made $20.3 million. There's a term for this in the industry, it's box office bomb. But why did the movie do so poorly? I've seen people on the internet say that it's because Robbie Williams is not that big of an artist. He might not be as known as he once was, but this is not the reason. Better Man had a release date of December 25th of 2024. This is around the time that all the Oscar movies are coming out. Everyone is trying to catch up with Anora, the brutalist, the horrendous Emilia Perez. And then on top of this, it's almost New Year's Eve, and then January comes in and everyone needs to come back to work. It was a terrible release date. However, worry not, this is a fucking amazing movie that was just awfully distributed. A very brief background. It was directed by Michael Gracie, who also directed The Greatest Showman. It's an Australian production, which is a little bit weird considering that the main character is British. The story hits all the usual notes of a musical biopic.
Pun intended.
For example, of course, they had to put a scene where the main character is trashing a hotel room. It is kind of a rags to riches story. A young boy who wants to be famous. Eventually he does become famous, but guess what? He doesn't know how to handle fame. The themes explored in this movie are nothing really new. Self-loathing, constant look for validation, and an unhealthy obsession for success. However, I'm gonna give you 4 reasons why you should watch this movie. Number 1, Robbie is a monkey. From the first shot of the movie, in which we see baby Robbie, we are mesmerized by the beautiful CGI. This monkey looks more realistic than those in Planet of the Apes. The CGI is well executed and it's not distracting at all. However, this is not only an aesthetic choice. Making the main character an anthropomorphic monkey is something that has meaning within the themes of the movie. Before I watched the movie, I thought that he was a monkey in the movie as a reference to one of his most famous songs, Me and My Monkey. But then I watched the movie and I discovered that it's actually more open to interpretation than I initially thought. I watched a video of a guy saying that he thought that Robbie was a monkey in this movie because he never really grew up to become an adult. He was always a young teenager doing young teenager stupid things. And I think this is a good analysis, but my analysis is a little bit different. I think there are two ways that we can interpret it actually. Number one, the audience is perceiving Robbie as an ape because of his lack of self-control. Like an animal, he is driven purely by instincts. Self-destructive instincts, that is. Motherfucker does so much drugs that he is no longer human. Another way that we can see it is that Robbie has so much self-hatred that he sees himself as lesser than the rest of humanity. I think it's open to interpretation, but one thing is for sure. None of the characters in the movie perceive him as a monkey. Only us, the audience, and him. The second reason is that Better Man is a proper, authentic musical. Let's face it, musicals are not as big as they were 70 years ago. You know, back in the day you had Singing in the Rain and Mary Poppins. Nowadays we have Emilia Perez. Something that Better Man does way better than most musicals that I've seen from the past 25 years or so is the fact that the music numbers, they're isolated from the rest of the movie. Meaning that not every line of dialogue in the movie is sung. Give the audience time to breathe, you know? Every time a music number pops in, it feels like it's elevating the story. They always feel organic. The story merges smoothly and beautifully into the musical number, which then transitions back into the story. And I mean, there is no way that I can talk about the music numbers without mentioning the choreography. My god, the choreography in this movie is so good. You know when you're watching a regular movie, it doesn't have to be a musical, and then there's this one scene where a certain character sings or dances, and it's just so well executed that it has you smiling like a little kid. That was the effect that a lot of the music numbers and their choreographies had on me when I was watching the movie. And talking about the choreography, the third reason why I think you should watch this movie is that this movie feels like it was made with love. You see, nowadays we very rarely see movies that have so much detail and effort put into them. And it's because they don't need to. You know, most of the audience, they do not demand much from a movie. And so the less time and effort you put into it, the less money it's gonna cost, the bigger your profit is going to be. But with this movie, it's not like that. I already mentioned the choreography, which is amazing, but it also has some insane imagery. There are many scenes throughout the movie that are really surreal, and you feel like you're watching this dream or this nightmare come true. Some of it is actually quite terrifying and claustrophobic, while other parts are angelic and ideal. Yeah, there's always this perfect balance between beauty and ugly, but regardless, the imagery is always stunning. After watching the movie twice, I can confidently say that it exudes love, but not only love towards the craftsmanship, but also love towards the character of Robbie Williams. You see, it would have been very easy to make a movie that victimizes him, a pity party. I feel like a lot of times when biopics, they treat these figures that are larger than life, they always fall within this particular camp of movies. However, in this movie, the legacy of Robbie Williams takes a backseat to the character, the flawed character, the human being that's being portrayed here. The fourth and final reason is the AACTA awards. Now, I'm completely sure that right now you're wondering what the hell are these awards. Well, these are the equivalent to the Australian Oscars. They've been going on since 2012, so they're pretty new in the industry. But some of the previous winners are big heavy hitters. We're talking about Talk to Me, Nitram, an amazing movie, The Babadook, Mad Max Fury Road. In total, this movie won 9 awards in that film festival. That is 2 more than Mad Max Fury Road. Not only this, but it won the award for Best Film in a year where both Furiosa and Late Night with the Devil were nominated. That's how good this movie is. To conclude, I would like to say that this is an amazing movie, but we are not sure how the movie is gonna age. I mean, obviously, it came out like 5 months ago. However, I think as a modern movie, it's a great one. But then there are 2 elements of the movie that I think could hurt its aging process, I guess. Number one, the CGI. So I already mentioned that the CGI in this movie is beautiful, it's brilliant. However, when The Irishman came out, I thought that the CGI was spectacular. And then I rewatched the movie like 2 or 3 years after, and I thought, man, this de-aging effect, it looks terrible. But when it came out, I thought I was watching 20-year-old Robert De Niro. Then the second element would be the music. Again, these are all amazing rock slash pop bangers from the 90s and early 2000s. However, if you compare it with the state of pop nowadays that's dominated by hyperpop, these tracks are pretty tame in comparison. Regardless, I really love them. What I do know is that as of today, this is an amazing movie, and that's why I'm gonna give it an 8.7 out of 10. Alright, y'all, if you wanna watch an amazing movie that is not very heady, not necessarily light in tone, but it's an easy movie to follow, to admire, to love. A movie you can pop in on a Sunday afternoon with your parents or your spouse and everyone is gonna enjoy. Then please watch Better Man. But if you have already, let me know what you thought of it. Please subscribe, press like, and all of that jazz. And rock on Robbie Williams.
As a disclaimer, no Robbies were harmed during the making of this video. Thank you.